Welcome to Feminist Frequency Radio. This is the show that asks you to be critical of the media you love. I am AC Lamberty.
And I'm Kat Spada, and this season, our feminist media criticism goodness makes us always believe we know better and always think we're the smartest people in the room, and it's awful. Today, we're talking about James L. Brooks' 1987 film, Broadcast News, which tells the story of a trio of colleagues who balance friendship, professional rivalry, and their love lives. Holly Hunter plays Jane, a driven, skilled news producer who expects the best from herself and from the TV news industry. She often works alongside Albert Brooks' Aaron, a brash and awkward man who is a talented writer with whom Jane reports on international, political, and war stories. William Hurt plays Tom, the handsome desk anchor who brings charm and good looks to the profession without the expertise that Jane and Aaron value so highly. Content warning for listeners that the film deals with the subject of date rape, and our conversation will discuss intimate partner violence, so proceed with caution if needed.
Joining us to talk about Broadcast News is Emma Specter. Emma Specter is a writer who has written about everything from BMI as a measure of health to long-distance queer love to the Hailey Bieber Erewhon smoothie to the state of plus-size vintage fashion in LA for publications like LAist, Bon Appetit, Them, The Hollywood Reporter, and Vice. Emma is currently a culture writer for Vogue.com and serves as a shop steward with the Conde United Union. And, importantly, Emma's debut reported memoir, More, Please, on food, fat, binging, longing, and the lust for enough, is out now from HarperCollins, which we will definitely be talking about. And not only is Emma an amazing writer, she is one of my favorite people to queen out with, which is what we're about to do.
Yeah.
So welcome, Emma. Let's get into it.
Thank you so much for having me. To queen out on the air is a very rare opportunity.
I'm so happy.
We haven't queened out like this since we were in San Francisco, just sort of sitting in a gay bar, talking to no one.
You're wearing the same outfit. I mean,
did I bring this gorgeous nightgown on that trip?
Absolutely.
Wait, that's so funny. To the listener, I'm wearing a Lons flannel nightgown.
Scrooge McDuck nightgown.
It's long.
Yeah, you're lit only by a candle in like a single ceramic holder.
That is really, I'm like reciting a poem. It's crazy. Well, I am so excited to be here.
I am really excited that you chose this movie as like a fave of yours to talk about because it's been on my list forever. I had not seen it prior to this. So I would love for you to like tell us your relationship to this movie. Why is it a fave? How did you get into it? I'm realizing basically in real time, I'm like, well, it was my parents' favorite movie. Nothing to examine there. I don't know that it was their favorite movie at all, but it's just to get out ahead of this, my parents were journalists in the 80s in DC, and my dad is, I would say, a occasionally brash, loving Jewish guy, and my mom, she's not that much like Holly Hunter, but she sort of is. A similar charm. She's
woman
in journalism.
A woman in journalism wearing shoulder pad jackets.
Let's go.
Those were crazy. So I really do feel like for the first time I'm like, well, it's mommy and daddy. But other than that, I think I can. No, but I do think like it's when someone in a profession says that something is like accurate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like when like doctors are like Scrubs is accurate or Politicos are like Veep is accurate. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like my parents were like, yeah, media is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I had seen this movie pretty recently, but I went and got the Criterion Collection DVD from the library.
I have it too. My friend Natalie got it for me. It's the only DVD I own.
I picked it up from the library today, and so I'm excited to watch like the little mini documentary about the actual journalist that this was based on, who helped with production.
I had no idea it was based.
Who's the woman?
Her name is Susan Zorinsky.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know it was based on any kind of real person. I thought it was just kind of like Veep style editorializing. You know what I mean?
Well, Emma, I don't know you well, but I have to say from like reading your book, I feel like I went to a West Coast version of the girls' school that Gossip Girl was based on, and related a lot to like some of the, I'm a little bit older than you, but some of like the era specific elements. And when I first watched Broadcast News a couple of years ago, I was like, I'm actually stunned that they didn't show us this at my high school.
I know.
Because it's like so much about like being an ambitious woman.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing they would have showed us, and then they would never have talked us through the like personal life elements.
No, they would have been like, she just cries like 4 times. When I was growing up, because like I said, I've seen this movie probably much earlier than I consciously would have wanted to see it. I feel like I was like, why would she just cry? That's stupid. And then I became an adult and was like, yep, sometimes you burst into tears. Sometimes you're an ambitious 80s career woman who has to cry.
You need to get it out.
But anyway, I feel like I was just talking to a friend who went to all-girls private school in Connecticut, some like fancy like boarding school.
Yeah.
And she was like, it is a very bonding thing to have gone to that kind of school and kind of been a loser. Like, have you guys seen Dee Dee?
No, I
not
haven't
yet.
Oh shit, it's so good. It's just so, I think we're all of a similar age that like the 2008-ness of it is crazy. And I feel like there's a brand of like aughts loser at a fancy school that's like, I didn't have, you know, the like Diamond Livestrong bracelet. I made that up. I can't think of what it was.
We need that, actually.
We do.
Did you feel a type of way watching this as a young person? Like,
no,
I can't relate to this. I just think it's a good movie, but I don't want to be a high-powered career woman.
I was not ever considered high-powered or someone that would become high-powered. Like, I'm not being like fake humble. Like, I was just. No one would look at Jane and be like, maybe like I was annoying and like precocious and mouthy when I was younger, but I was like such an academic flop from so early. And I'm not trying to blame my mom, but I will say I had like relatively chill parents in an environment where your parents like do your homework for you. Between the two of us, we really flopped in American education. So anyway, I basically was not like, oh, that's me, I'm gonna like be a fancy producer someday, but I did relate to like being almost more Albert Brooks, just getting the shit beat out of him and being like, even though that has nothing to do with my experience, I'm like, I'm a tough little Jewish kid in South Boston. Like, that's
so
not my situation. So me. And of course, William Hurt being like, I'm just handsome. What can
I
you
hate
do
to
with
say
that?
it. I watched that and I was like, that's my brother. Like, that is absolutely
pretty privilege.
100%.
Sometimes it is all about finding a career that's about hotness.
Yes.
And this is one of the first movies to explore that.
Seriously, for real.
Okay,
yeah.
But do we think that Albert Brooks is hot in this movie? Because I am here to say he's terrible in it, but I feel like I've had a crush on him my whole life also. Mostly for Defending Your Life, in which he's also like a sad sack, you know, who's so in love. But here I'm like, oh my God, I love how terrible he is. Like,
have you seen the documentary?
Yeah.
No,
I didn't even know anything about him besides broadcast news, really, and Lost in America until I watched that documentary and was like, what the fuck? He was just,
And he like came up with this whole sweating gag in this movie.
It's hard to see that and find not even true. I could watch the right person sweat, but it's not a powerful moment for him. But also, I do think that my daddy issues are not oriented in the specific way that I can find him attractive, because he really does share some stuff with my dad. Well, not entirely looks wise, but
jumping all over the place. But because I feel like AC and I talk a lot about aesthetic attractiveness.
I was going to say, let's start there. Like, let's begin.
I just want to cut straight to Holly Hunter's haircut in her little blazer dress at the very end in the gazebo.
That is how my mom and her friends were dressing. They were absolutely wearing that shit.
It's crazy.
It is so wild. And you know, you see so much of that shit in like I shop vintage a lot. That shit is all over thrift stores now. That like 80s aesthetic of like I'm a powerful lady.
It's intense.
Wild. But she's like bad at it and wears like a big kangaroo t-shirt from the zoo. I'm like, that's me. You know,
I
when
love
she's
it.
wearing her, like, sorry, I work at Vogue. I'm going to do a little fashion crit.
Of course.
When she's wearing her little, like, lady sweater on her first date with William Hurt, you're like, no, babe. Like,
have to hide the upper arm.
But the absolute, like, boldness that she's in a sweater that goes almost to her knees. And she gets on that motel bed and she's like, how are you? Back rubs. And he's like,
crazy for that. How are you? Back rubs. We're going to have a Holly Hunter impression off.
It is, like, so sexy. This movie is so romantic. It's so hot. I did not expect it at all. It felt like reading fan fiction that I wanted to insert a bunch of characters. Like, it was so good.
I mean, let's just be, like, so honest. You do see William Hurt's dick.
Oh, you do? Don't I forgot about
Sort
that.
of. I think you see the shadow of it, but, you know.
Yeah.
Movies have been made on less.
He's so good in this movie. He's so good.
It really sucks. And I don't know how to reconcile the fact I learned, like I said, embarrassingly recently about the allegations.
Me too.
I don't doubt that I hate that man, but cut this.
No, I think
but
like last year I did an episode with a guest co-host about Rosemary's Baby, and we talked about, like, look, we can talk about this movie, we can talk about how amazing this movie is. It's incredibly directed,
and the, like, effect it had on us. That's not like, and the actor is good, and I support his actions.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, William Hurt, I mean, I love his performance in Children of a Lesser God, which is one of my, like, favorite movies. And to watch that and know, like, oh, this is when he and a 19-year-old Marlee Matlin were falling in love.
Mm-hmm.
And she would go on to say that he raped her and abused her, as did two other partners of his
awful,
say that.
Like, the descriptions, it's really fucking awful.
It's really, I think it's, like, I guess it's, for me, the, like, separation of art and artist is just, like, you just have to take both. You have to look at it and say, like, how we all know so many charming, beautiful men, like, and some charming, beautiful men are capable of this sort of thing. And that it doesn't take away from the fact that he's really great at portraying this, like, particular character.
Yeah.
And I think if we don't find him attractive, this movie doesn't work. Also, like, to see...
And he represents something so specific, as Jane says.
Yeah.
What is her? She's like, I'll get into a full Holly Hunter later, but no, I don't want to, like, rationalize or be like, here's why it's actually girl boss, but I totally agree with that. And just, like, you know, especially movies that you kind of can't avoid confronting because you saw them a long time ago. It's like, is the responsible thing to do just kind of, like, throw it away and be like, let me not talk about, like, Holly Hunter's performance in this movie because of because
that,
of this
like, element
evil
of
hot blonde man.
Say that. That element of representation too is it's, like, always interesting to me, where it's like you just happen to cast a woman in something and then it becomes a text on, like, gender equity in whatever industry, which, like, I think is really effective, honestly, in broadcast news. Like, I don't think there's any super explicit exploration of, like, she's a woman and she lost out on her, like, whatever. But I don't know. I kind of felt that way about The Fall Guy, which we talked about earlier in this season. Kat, like, kind of incidentally casting a woman, and then it becoming political.
It feels
in
like
that way.
a story about people more so than, like, it's like a weird James L. Brooksy rom-com that feels almost more like it's giving. I don't know how to explain it. It's giving, like, corduroy couch old New Yorker story magazine. I'm trying to channel something right now. It's just I think especially, like, the colors of it and the, like, weird sepia-ness and the ugliness of everything 80s is it's very soothing to my brain. But again, we exist in a context.
Well, even rewatching it, I forgot that it opens with their little scenes of them as children.
I know.
And I was like, oh, it starts with the boys, because that surprised me. I was like, no, this is Jane's story. And so watching this again, I was like, it's not really Jane's story. Like, it really is pretty evenly spaced out between her and Tom, and then I feel like Aaron's on his own journey.
Aaron's so on his own journey. Aaron.
Man, I will say the opening with the kids, I was like, oh, I'm gonna fucking hate this movie, actually.
It totally makes no sense. It never comes up again, and you're like, huh, no.
And I was like, what is this trying to say? Like, kind of wherever you go, there you are, which I think is, like, kind of true for the most part. But
like,
I mostly just thought of young Emma Specter after watching it.
Little me being like, that's me, somewhere
Relatable.
between the kid getting beat up, the like handsome anchorman, and the girl that's insane and
who's a geek.
Who's a geek, by the way. And I feel like they're all like, even the handsome boys, like, I hate this.
Yeah.
Oh, girls are obsessed with me. Like, no one's like loving life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was going to put me off. It didn't, thankfully. Yeah. But I do think it speaks to this kind of like born this way element that the movie has, if that makes sense. I don't know.
No, I hear what you're saying. Not that that's gay or to make it explicitly about gay, but there is a shooting script of this movie. Have either of you guys read it? This is lore. I read it so long ago that I don't even totally remember, but I feel like I remember a gay subplot.
Okay.
It was Challengers much. Subplot. That would have been crazy. But it was like obviously like a world in which like a side character is like, and by the way, honey, I'm gay. I thought 19. What movie? What year was it? 1987. Yeah, not a peak year for representation.
I literally thought you were about to be like, oh, there's a shooting script in which it's a love triangle.
I was like that would be so hot.
The original Challengers. Journalism is tennis.
He's like, let me help you. Let me fix you with your blazer. Let me hang on.
Oh my god, the fan cams we could make for broadcast news.
I'm sure there are some.
I need like Baldan Dowd to get on broadcast news. Everything she posts, by the way, especially stuff like Veep that I've seen a lot, I've like never stopped.
She's amazing.
While we are recording, she could be the surprise guest at the DNC right now.
I hope
she's running their comms.
I'll vote. Fine. I'm going to vote. But
by the time
I'll
you
vote
listen,
happily if it's Baldan Dowd.
The moment towards the very end when Joan Cusack says to Holly Hunter, except for socially, I so look up to you. I was like, Joan Cusack,
socially, you're my role model.
She needs everything she's in. She is made perfect. So much better by her.
She's great.
She's so perfect. She's so like tall and different looking in that movie because everybody's this like white beige 80s person, and she has red fiery hair, and I'm like,
she's gangly and like
she's gangly
she's so funny.
Yeah, I love her.
So what do you think about? I mean, I agree with you that this is like not. James L. Brooks wasn't like, I'm going to make a feminist movie. But, like, does it have anything to say about, like, women in the workplace? Like, I think it more has something to say about, like, women's... When she's like, I can't believe I was a woman for a minute, and that's when you blow me off. Like, I think it has something to say about, like, being vulnerable in romantic context. But, like, I actually felt like... all the sort of professional interactions were handled fairly evenly, whether it was like her or the other like female anchor or producers. Like it was just kind of like we're all on the same playing field in this fantasy world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like really the incidental nature of it makes it work so much for me. Like like Emma was saying, it just being kind of a exploration of this particular relationship in time, right? Like, I don't know. I think by not addressing it, it addresses it in a pretty effective way to me, at least. Or at least I'm able to like see how forces beyond like gender beyond people's control affect how they live and work and all of that. I don't know. But I really like movies like that. So I was into the kind of subtlety of it all.
Yeah. And there's just like some great moments of like that this woman puts condoms in her purse because she thinks she's gonna hook up.
Going to a conclave.
Just going to a conclave. And like her colleague who hooks up with Tom is just like, hey, this is what I'm wanting to do. That's all good, right? Like there's no kind of hysteria about the women's behavior, really. The hysteria is entirely Albert Brooks.
Yeah.
Totally.
He's actually the most femme camp icon in this movie. And by the way, he's baby girl. I've thought of so many insane things to say,
Big
such
time.
as Aaron Altman, they could never make me hate you. I could be balled and down. I'm just saying, for this movie, I think I could take it there.
And,
How about when he's so, like, emasculated by everyone liking the hot guys reporting on date rape that he stands up and goes, "Great, you cracked the code on Nookie."
It's literally so
crazy.
close. It's so close to, I thought they were going to be like, wow, look at how we talk about date rape in newsrooms. This is a scourge. And then there's like, and that's the lid on that. Like, and you're like, oh my God.
I did love that everybody kind of was like, okay, like,
I know.
you fucking bitch. Like, what's wrong with you?
I mean, it's just so crazy. I don't know. The report was so giving something we were forced to watch in high school, where like the way we were taught about AIDS in high school, quick diverge, is we had to watch a documentary about a girl from our high school, our fancy New York high school, who had, I don't know why I know this. I assume it was in the movie. She went to Studio 54. She had sex with a bisexual bartender. She contracted HIV. And like, that's very sad, but like the fact that that's emblematic of what they thought we needed to know about the AIDS crisis is like crazy. Anyway,
does she not know that's iconic?
It's a bit play. Like, I'm glad to know. I'm glad to know the legacy.
So funny.
I'm so sad that like none of my high school special assemblies were like recorded for posterity.
I know.
Because
I'd be desperate to see them.
I remember so well a man coming to talk to my all-girls school from 4th graders through 12th graders and saying, "Who here knows a gay person?" And this is in Los Angeles, California.
How old were you?
I don't know, 5th grade, and everyone raised their hands because we all know gay people.
Oh my God, no one at my school would have been like, you know a fucking gay person.
Well, we all knew them, but you couldn't be one. That was the thing. Like, we all were like, oh yeah, the Spanish teacher, or like my sister, you know, but you couldn't like
that day
actually be one. And then he was like, oh, we don't, that's not, like he had to like
too many kids.
He had to pivot because his whole like presentation was going to be like, turn to your left, turn to your right. You know, somebody
here is queer.
Someone's on the Kinsey spectrum.
Along many years ago, just like anyone who identifies as queer in the group, I would love for you to take a step forward. I have to pray that stuff like that is different now, and I know it is at some schools and in some places, but like, oh my God. Yeah. Wild. Did you guys take Prepare in school?
Mm-mm.
We did this at my girls' school and my co-ed school, but it was in like 3rd grade at my girls' school. It's basically a guy practices trying to kidnap and murder you, and you have to like, it's not murder, I'm being dramatic, but like it's like you run drills like on not getting abducted.
I want that. I want to do that now.
It's called Prepare.
Can I hire him? Now.
Can we get a group round of Prepare?
Yes.
I'll go in on
Listeners, comment below if you're interested in the LA area.
My Venmo is below if you want us to go get privately drilled.
Wait, okay. While we're on UB, like your guys' youth at private schools, I would love to chat about the book. I not to thread the needle too hard, but
I absolutely did not make that mention.
I'm curious if like people from high school have like reached out and been like, I've read the book and things are so different, and
yes,
weird.
I keep talking about this on podcasts and stuff. I think it's fine. One, like on the one other podcast I've done on this book tour, let's not get crazy, but I just feel like I keep telling this story and I don't know if the person would appreciate it, but someone I remember as being very popular and cool in middle school came to my Skylight reading in LA, which you were at. And I was like so overwhelmed that night that I didn't even process how nice it was, but she like had me sign a copy for her mom and like congratulated me. And then this other girl like reached out and kind of like apologized, and I was like, my friend Beth was like, what did she do to you? I was like, I remember her being like funny and nice, and I have no negative memories, but she just kind of blanket apologized, and I was like, it's all good. Anyway,
what has like that confessional,
nice.
Like, how do you write in such a confessional way? Like, how do you protect yourself, I guess, is my question. Like, how did you go about doing that while working on the book?
Such a fortress of therapy. Not that I'm not someone who's like, go to therapy, babe. Like, it's the like, there are times where it hasn't been as helpful as it has with this particular issue, but like, I do think I've made a lot of progress in like kind of acknowledging and confronting my specific shit, which like I guess people know more about than average because I just wrote about it in a memoir. But like, the only way to, I think, do something like that, if you're not someone who traditionally like puts themselves on blast, and I do like write personally, but like I've been lucky enough to get to mostly like, it's not like I have to do a personal angle that feels wrong to me. And you know, I certainly didn't have to do this book. Let's start there. No, but I feel like I have had this opportunity to write about myself, but the only way to really write like about like stuff that you hold very close personally is to just be like, no one will read it. I don't know. That's extremely my experience. I don't recommend for others, but I know that hopefully the goal is that many people will read it. But like, I think like, I'm also like, what will my piano teacher from 3rd grade think? And she might not read it. There's actually a chance she will not read this one. You know, it's like my anxieties over who's going to be upset about what have actually been really overblown. And at least so far, knock on wood, things have been really smooth. But yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that for a second you were about to be like, look, I'm sorry I wrote this book.
It doesn't need, does it? I love to negotiate against myself on a podcast and be like, do you need to read it? No. But that is, especially with like, amongst friends, you know, especially with like a book that talks about body stuff, I'm like, there's no like cure in it. Like, and I feel like that's important to say because a lot of writing about bodies and weight comes with kind of like, and then when I embrace this eating plan, and it's like not that at all. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, again, not to be so like linking this to broadcast news, but there was such a feeling of the like, wherever you go, there you are. Also, I saw a review where someone was like, this is a movie about the burden of being smart enough to know that you will never be truly happy. Which is like, I thought it was like, there were some interesting insights in your book like that, kind of like about recovery and about truly just like the actual work of being mentally ill and like coming out of that, you know? I
hate to say this, but I feel like a big part of my specific recovery has been like getting William Hurt pilled a little bit and being like, you're not that smart. Not that I genuinely think I'm not smart, but it's just like about confronting the idea that you're not built different and actually you just like have mental illness a little bit.
Totally.
And like in a good way, I think you have more in common with other people than you think, which I think is something like all of these characters kind of feel alienated by their circumstances, even though one's like handsome guy who nobody understands, and there's like bullied smart guy and like single lady, like the classic archetypes. Bullied smart guy. But like again, I'm just like, I don't know. I just feel like the you're not that special mentality has genuinely been helpful to me, especially as like a former kind of precocious seeming weird solo flying kid. Like I think it is beneficial to just be like, I don't know, maybe I'm really hot and I should do the news. Maybe I'm pivoting to that, and that's how you seamlessly bring it together.
I have to wonder, I'm going to look up, did James L. Brooks write the episode of The Simpsons where Homer gets a crayon stuck up his nose? Do you know that one?
Had to have. I've seen that episode.
He must have. That's like one of my favorite Simpsons episodes where they determine that a crayon has been lodged in his brain for many years, and they remove it, and he becomes very smart.
It's like Flowers for Algernon, right?
Oh, yeah.
And through this, he's able to bond better with his daughter, Lisa. But it's so much harder for him to live as a smart man. So, like, the end of the episode is he's left a note for her that's like, I'm sorry, my darling daughter, I couldn't keep going like that. God. And he's shoved the crayon back in his nose so he can keep living an idiot lifestyle. And, like,
That's me. I'm putting the crayon in my nose. Well, it's just like that's so funny. Al Jean? Oh, how do you pronounce that Simpsons writer? That Simpsons writer wrote the episode, not James L. Brooks. I just checked because I was like, that seems like such a James L. Brooks vibe.
Yeah, I mean, like I think I've already told this story on a podcast, if not this podcast, but like when I was, I think 6 years old, my dad told me it's going to be harder for you because men don't like smart women.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, good to know.
Well, you file that away in my psyche forever.
He was like, it's going to be harder for you. And so, you know, we'll be there. We'll be there to help you. But like, I feel like there was this interesting thing. I'm especially curious to get like AC's take. In this sort of like proximity to hotness, like being around the hottest person in the room, I feel like is a situation that I have found myself in, whether it's like literally a celebrity or just like I one time went to a birthday party for someone that I was like, I think there's something between us. And I got to the birthday party and I was like, oh, everyone at this party is in this situation I'm in, like where we all are like, I think this is it with me and this person. And it was like, absolutely not. But like this way in which you're like, well, surely I can't. No, surely we're not the same species. And then it's like you kind of get the hope that you are the same species, and that's so much worse than just believing that you're not.
Totally.
Am I like completely just exorcising some demons or
no?
That's real as fuck.
Let her cook. No, that's so real. I do feel like that is something that's addressed in this movie, something that's partially in Emma's book. Like, I don't know. I really that resonates. For sure.
That's so real. That's and I the thing that I wanted to answer almost better than I did in the book, if I may. Something that like it frustrates me not to have a clearer answer is how you kind of end that. Like if that makes sense, and how you move from like I am like built different in a bad way to like more accept. I wish that the answer wasn't just like gradual and like if you're lucky it comes more together, you know, because that's when I was like younger and I felt so much that way. I was seeking out anything that would sort of make me not feel you know. Anyway,
and it's like it's crazy that we're talking about like Holly Hunter as this gorgeous perfect like unit of a person, but she's like funny, you know, she's like weird.
Like she's a what do they call it? Character actor.
Yeah,
which just means that you're like not normatively hot, but you still are.
But you're like talented.
Yeah, which is crazy. But there's a special category that's like no, like a merit actor, like not a hotness actor. That is so wild.
Like few actors cry the way that she does.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, her total meltdown when they're I do relate to being on like work assignments. I mean, like I am gonna so quickly sob by the river.
Yes.
Oh.
Like just take a little cry break before you have to go give a talk and fail at it.
She does her best with that talk.
The flopping is so beautiful. It's so good.
I want to just bring you all to a moment in cinema also that like this movie was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, like all 3 of the main actors, Best Picture, Best Director, Editing, Writing. It lost all of them. The only one I want to focus on is that Holly Hunter lost Best Actress to Cher for Moonstruck, which is I can't argue with that call. But whenever I think of 1987, the year I was born, the year The Simpsons was created for the Tracy Ullman Show, I think of how Nick Cage was in Moonstruck and Raising Arizona with Holly Hunter the same year, and how those 2 performances are so different. But like now I'm just thinking of them as like the Cher, Holly Hunter, Nicolas Cage sort of triangle of the performances that we got out of
who else was nominated that year. That's like a really great lineup.
Yeah.
That is an
We used to have
all-star lineup.
divas.
We did used to have divas. It used to be good.
Now, Emma, I'm curious. Like, when I was watching this, I was thinking about how, like, the movie about journalism is, like, a really big, important, lauded movie a lot of the time. Like, from Citizen Kane to, like, Zodiac or whatever. Like,
Spotlight.
Spotlight.
Like, was it just broadcast news that your parents were playing, or were they
I think I wouldn't. If they had been like the kind of journalists that were like, we are going to watch movies about the craft. I don't know. I feel like them being pretty understated about the job, or like, I don't know, in some ways made me more likely to like seek it out semi on my own. Mm-hmm. But I knew that was the movie that they thought was like funny and accurate. And like, I also Spotlight came out. When did Spotlight come out?
I don't know, like 2014 or something.
Yeah.
I guess, what are other like older journalism movies?
The Year of Living Dangerously, Friday. All the President's Men.
Yeah. No, Network. It was pretty much just broadcast news that Network. I inherited from my parents. Nepo for viewings of broadcast news.
But I feel like journalism is the sort of thing that like Hollywood, which is silly, can tell stories about journalism, which is serious, and then be taken very seriously. But then, like, thinking about 1987 as a moment in time, it's like, give it 5 years. The entire industry is going to change.
I assume we've all read my paywalled pan of She Said.
Oh my God.
I assume that one made it to everyone.
We will be linking it.
Please.
It's on Dirt, and I support their business model.
Shit. Okay, nice. I thought it was your own Substack. I was like, release it for the fans.
Imagine. I'm like, I'll need $5, bitch. No, I just think that's such a good example of a movie about journalism that takes itself so fucking seriously, and it's like, we are exposing a monster, and that's true, and Harvey Weinstein needed to be exposed, and also it's the most self-righteous bad movie. I'm also particularly prone to getting annoyed about depictions of journalism, because the one thing I listen to my parents about, I do feel like something my dad in particular says a lot is like, journalists are people are sometimes bad at their job, not like, let the journalists flop, but just like, you can't put moral authority in anyone's job performance, and it's like better not to.
And that's also Hollywood trying to tell a very serious story about itself.
No, and being like, and when we got to the root of the problem, we put our best white women on it.
Like, we're so sorry, actually, but here's the movie.
Brad Pitt produced it. Like, what? Yeah. Come on, I'm actually being so nice in that pan.
We got rid of the one bad apple.
Yeah, and now everything is as it should be.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am very sensitive to bad representations of journalism and representations of bad. My favorite journalistic depiction of all time, because it speaks to a slice of like women's media I don't always see explained, is on Veep, when Wendy, the press secretary's wife, is like, she's like, the guy she's talking to knows her as a journalist, and he's like, oh, should I not have said that? And she's like, oh, honey, I'm at the style section now. All I do is like, see, like, I like your tie. See, basically brain dead. Just like,
I feel like, what about depictions of like internet media in girls? I think is like
when
so
she's doing
spot on.
advertorial at GQ in the Condé Nast office, and they have free locks. Like, no, that has not been a thing since the freewheeling 90s.
I know,
like,
it is such a period piece. It's crazy.
Maybe for a brief window in advertorial, but it's like, if you think you're gonna gatekeep who eats the salmon in the office, my union and I will eat that salmon.
We'll have a word.
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
In the reboot, Hannah works at the Rob Report. Someone just reminded me the Rob Report existed, and I kind of went down a rabbit.
Oh my god, incredible.
Oh my god. There is a moment of fat phobia in this movie, at least one. That
I didn't even clock it.
it really startled me, even though it's like, oh, this is now the 15th horrible thing that Albert Brooks has said in this movie. It
sucks in a different way because it's so bitter, and it's like, that's the worst thing you can think of, bitch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think bitch a lot. I apologize.
I think what's so, what I just focus on watching this again today was, like, the way that Holly Hunter receives the barbs from these men, because like so often it's like her bending over backwards to like show up and be there for both of them because she doesn't know better. She doesn't know that she doesn't have to do that. And then they will say these cruel things to her and she'll just be like, oh.
And that's why she cries periodically by the lake. You have to react in the moment or you'll cry by the lake. I don't know if the answer is you have to react in the moment, mental health wise, but you know what I mean. No, that is so funny and true. If there was ever a woman who needed a queen out sesh bad, her girls is Aaron Altman. Like she needs to kick it with even the rest of the crew.
With Joan Cusack.
Totally.
Whatever. Her hot friend who sleeps with
Tom.
Thank you, Tom Grunick. I know his name. I promise.
Yeah. Do you have a Vogue commentary on her White House Correspondents' Dinner dress? The polka dot, strapless.
A stringy bang.
It's a wet look bang. It's not what I love. It's fine. It was the 80s. It's shaped like a dress. That's
looking
cool.
camp straight in the eye.
Looking camp dead in the eye.
I looked it up once because it looks so much like a paper doll dress. Like it was going to have little tabs that you fold around her. Yeah. And some journalist wore a recreation of it to the White House Correspondents' Dinner in like 2009. And I was like, that's the most 2009 thing.
I was going to say the exact right time period.
Oh my God. I mean, my official evolution has gone. My unofficial evolution is from someone who was like, all I want in this world is to attend the Correspondents' Dinner, to like, the Correspondents' Dinner should be prohibited in the Constitution. It actually sucks so royally if you think about what it is. And I say that as
100%.
Maybe I don't say that as maybe I just say that as a private citizen right now. But like, it's actually disgusting. Like, why are you palling around with these freaks?
Agreed. With the literal president.
There's no president that it's not a little bit of an atrocity to queen out with. That's sacred. That said, watch me like go in a year and be like, ever since I was a little
Stream
girl.
more, please.
Stream more, please. The Netflix adaptation.
Okay. Maybe this is how we wrap things up. Who is playing you in the fucking Netflix adaptation? Okay, who's playing you in the Netflix adaptation? Who is playing you in like the feature A24 adaptation?
Okay.
I think there are wildly different casting choices here.
I would love like Merritt Wever.
Oh.
Who is not the right age, but you know, whatever.
I love that.
Merritt Wever. I'm thinking of awesome actresses, and I'm like, they probably aren't
Joey
right
King.
for the role. Joey King. Merritt Wever would be extremely cool.
I like that.
And I really hate the idea of like only dream casting from within like who's like not. I mean, yeah, I think who's not Blake Lively is a decent place to start. I won't have her. No, but just like who has even shown that they're willing to like embody a role physically that's like not glamorous.
I love that.
You know?
Who's Blake Lively as you and Ryan Reynolds as Rax.
Wait, okay, a little bit Fat Blake Lively and trans Ryan Reynolds. It's not incorrect at all.
The future liberals want.
This is the future. Everyone's been saying that about Ella Emhoff, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, that's just like a regular specimen. I don't know what to tell you.
I love the idea. Now, what if they were like, we'll fund it?
Wait,
like Brad Pitt, Blake Lively's production company.
They would just about
the Emma Specter story starring Blake Lively as a young Emma Specter, but she's gonna have brown hair.
Wow, that would be huge.
She's gonna go So Brave. Yeah. Listen, if anyone wants to adapt anything I've ever tweeted or made, I would love to be attached.
Get in touch.
Get in touch.
Well, thank you so much for bringing broadcast news to our discussion. I feel like it was a really overdue Feminist Frequency Radio film, and also overdue for AC.
Oh yeah, I'm glad I finally got to watch it.
It means so much to me to go extremely deep on this movie with you guys. This was so fun.
And buy more, please, wherever
buy more,
you purchase
please.
Books.
Or I was going to say buy Broadcast News on DVD, but no, stream it illegally. William Hurt is in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or pay for your streams, whatever sounds cool to you.
Check it out from the library.
Check it out from the library.
Literally check it out from the library. Perfect solution.
Emma, where can people learn more about your writing and get your book?
Ooh, thank you for asking. My favorite place to buy the book is bookshop.com, bookshop.org. I apologize. It's a .org. It's basically like the bad website for indie bookstores. And I like that a lot. In LA where I live, you can get it at Skylight. And my website is Emma Specter, SPECTER.com. I've found you have to spell it.
Love it.
Yeah. Before people ask.
I am AC Lamberty. You can find me at AC Lamberty on Instagram and Letterboxd.
I'm Kat Spada, and you can find me at cat_EX_machina on Twitter and Letterboxd. And please be sure to follow Feminist Frequency on all of the platforms at FemFreak.
If you are a Patreon subscriber, stick around for the bonus episode where Kat and I are going to talk about fan fiction.
Making you stay on. Oh, we're still recording. I need to take a picture of your screen.
Okay.
If you like our show, please help other people find it by sharing this episode, subscribing, rating, and commenting on your favorite podcast app. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you, Emma.
Thank you, Emma.
Bye.
Bye.
Yay.